First spring scrimmage. Let me get my
Yeah.
fancy graphic on the screen here. So
Oh,
first spring scrimmage was this week, and it sounds like the defense got the better of the offense from what
it
most people
did.
are saying. The biggest thing I'm kind of taking away, just the more I think about this team, is I'm just really excited about this inside linebacker room. Like, it's just going to be
Mhm.
loaded. Like, there's a reason George has become linebacker U in recent years. Like, CJ Allen and Raylan Wilson are definitely the
Oh
more
man.
proven guys there. But I can't hear enough this spring about Chris Cole and Justin Williams. Like, that's all anyone seems to be
Yeah.
talking about is those two guys, second year players.
Yeah, no, those guys. I've heard a lot about them too, and they came up a lot last week, and then who did I ask about them this week? Oh, I asked Terrell Foster about them this week too, and he was like, yeah, man, like they're ballers, they're for real. I mean, yeah, it's like you said. I mean, I hate to like gloss over CJ Allen and Raylan Wilson. We can come back to them in a second because I mean those are the guys. Those are the guys that are going to be really leading this defense this year. In the middle, but yeah, I mean, the fact that Georgia got both of those guys is something that still doesn't even make a lot of sense to me. I mean, Justin Williams was the number
And
one
then just
linebacker.
stack Zayden
Chris
Walker in the next
Cole was
class
cool.
too.
Chris
Like,
Cole's number three linebacker. Yeah, then they get Saden Moore in the next class. So it's like, yeah, like you said, I mean, when you're linebacker university, I guess you can do that. But yeah, I mean, Justin Williams, I heard Kirby last week call him one of the most positive people he's ever been around, and I believe it. I mean, Justin Williams was available last week on Tuesday night as well, and like that kid has a smile that just lights the room up. Let me tell you, he just seems like a really high character guy. His teammates love him. They've all raved about how he's been much more vocal this spring and has really been taking extra time to like encourage some of the younger guys. They got I mean, he's a sophomore, but the guys that are even younger than him. Um, so yeah, that should be really cool to look out for this year because they've really talked about he's made leaps and bounds this spring. And then Chris Cole, there's even more like proof of concept there, I would say, because we saw. I mean, Justin Williams was a pretty good special teamer last year, but we saw Chris Cole take some pretty meaningful defensive snaps, and he looked really good. They've
yeah,
compared him to Jalen Walker because of his versatility in
wow.
coverage and as a pass rusher. And like obviously nobody is Jalen Walker. I really doubt that Georgia loses Jalen Walker and then just has a Jalen Walker clone on their team. I'm not saying I think that, but like the fact that they get these chess pieces at linebacker that they can just move around and use all these different kinds of ways. I mean, I'm right with you, man. I can't wait for these inside linebackers.
Yeah, because if you remember 2021 too, after Adam Anderson, got kicked off the team,
Dismissed. Yeah.
that they were playing three linebackers, like with
Yeah.
Channing Tyndall and Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean. So I think you're going to see three of these inside linebackers on the field for so many snaps this year.
Yeah. Especially because the edge rotation just isn't as great as it has
Yeah.
been. I mean, you're losing like, Jalen Walker was a half edge, half off ball linebacker, I guess is what we'll call him, and then
He's a dude.
Yeah, just like a football player. And then you have Michael Williams on the other end is gonna be a top 10 pick or whatever. But this year it's like Quintavious Johnson, maybe. And Gabe Harris has been out for the last few months, so we don't really know what he looks like. So
Yeah.
they're not gonna be able to, I mean, like I don't know. I don't
Could be
feel
more of
very
a necessity.
Yeah, they're going to have to rely more on these linebackers to rush the passer, especially because I just don't think they have the guys off the edge that Georgia's kind of been accustomed to having in recent years.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's one of the things I'm worried about for the 2025 team. But in terms of the offense in the scrimmage, did you have anything about the offense takeaways from the scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, like I was not at the scrimmage, but I think that the takeaway that I kept hearing was Stockton looked pretty good. Stockton was leading the offense pretty well. I mean, this is I think his fourth spring on the team. It could be his third, but I think it's fourth spring. So he's just leaps and bounds every. I mean, Puglisi, I've heard is making a pretty solid push, but I think Stockton is pretty far ahead of everybody else as far as really knowing the system and everything. And the other thing that I've heard that I heard Kirby Smart say a bunch of times today is like, they still can't run the ball apparently. I mean, last year, Georgia, I know they had their injuries along the offensive line, but they returned, I think, 4 starters out of 5 on the offensive line. I think it was only Mims who left, and they were in the hundreds for rushing in the country. And that's been the big, I think their big mantra this whole spring that at least I hear whenever I go to those is like they want to get much better at running the ball, and then on the other side, they want to get much better at stopping the run. Like this whole spring has been about the run game on both ends, and I think they asked Michael Morris today how he felt like the offensive line played, and he was like, "We can play better." I'm paraphrasing, but I think we're just still gonna. The run game is gonna have to come along soon at some point rather than later, because it can't be as inexplosive as it was last year for much of the season if Georgia wants to really make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, yeah, I'm absolutely with you there, and it's inexplicable, honestly, from how this team recruits at the offensive line, for it to ever be that bad. Because even the years like 2022 and 2023, like I would not say that those were great run games by any means, but they were effective, and they, you had what, 2 like 800 yards rushers, I want to say.
Milton Edwards 23, and then 22 McIntosh. Kenny McIntosh is one of the most underrated Georgia players of all time, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm with you there. McIntosh was a weapon, and definitely out of the backfield, catching the ball too. But he had what, I think like 700-800 yards.
No, I mean, no, they never. I don't know the last 1,000-yard rusher that Georgia has had. It might have been I think Elijah Holyfield and DeAndre Swift both did it in 2019.
That was 2018. So then Swift by himself would have been 2019. So yeah, that's probably the last one.
Maybe that one. 2021. I don't think like Zeus or Cook ever did it. I don't think anybody in 2020 would have done it. Like, although it's been a while. I mean,
it definitely has. Although McIntosh, but I think even those, I think like 2023, I think Georgia was like 25th in the country in run offense. It was like it didn't seem great, and it was like we were still top 30 in America.
Yeah, and also because Milton was banged up for so much of that year, and then he came back. Like, do you remember the last like 4 games of 2023? Kendall Milton, like he looked like Nick Chubb at certain points.
I do remember breaking a couple touchdown runs. It was Ole Miss, I want to say maybe.
Yeah, he did have a couple of long runs against Ole Miss, and then like I think he had a really good game against Tech too. But like, I remember watching that and being like, dang, I'm kind of sad that we never got to see like this full version of Kendall Milton for more than 5 games. But is there even a Kendall Milton in this running back room?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Nate Frazier has a high upside, but sure. And I think to give McIntosh his credit, I think he had some sort of all-purpose yard stat that was up there with Percy Harvin and Dexter McCluster.
Yeah. Dude, they would get him though because he was real nice out of the backfield. I mean, that was the thing that was so great about having him and Cook was like, Zamir White was your big back and your bruiser, and Cook and McIntosh were just so far ahead of their years as route runners out of the backfield that like, man, they were that saved Stetson Bennett, I think, more than some people realize.
Yeah, that's true. James Cook was such a mismatch in the pass game. But yeah, and I was really excited, even though the offensive line might have its struggles and still unproven, definitely unproven. I thought Trevor Etienne and Frazier was going to be, one of the better running back duos in the SEC in 2025. So, I was as disappointed as Nate Frazier was on his Instagram story when I heard the news.
Man, that would have been cool to have another year of that.
For sure, because I think Frazier's got high ceiling for sure, and that's another guy you're here. Another thing you're hearing in the spring is Bo Walker is creating a lot of buzz. So with how many injury issues both Robinsons have had in the backfield, like Cash Jones is basically the second most proven guy in that backfield. So Bo
Yeah.
Walker, the door could be open for Bo Walker.
It could be. It could be. Yeah, it's just tough. Like we just don't really know a whole lot of. I mean, it's hard to say like who did well and who didn't at this scrimmage today because Kirby Smart was just so like up in arms about the whole thing that like I think he said verbatim. He's like, it's like I know you're asking like the question went something like, you know, how did the scrimmage go? It was very normal, and he's like, we've got a long way to go. And he goes, he's like, I know the question was like who did well specifically, but that's not important right now. I just want to make sure that we can like run a play properly or something like that. And like, it didn't sound as harsh as maybe I'm making it sound, but I mean, you can tell that like they're the way that Kirby Smart is talking about this team at this point in the spring versus, you know, a couple of years ago, maybe even last year, he's never spoken glowingly of his team in spring, nor should he ever. But this really does sound like the most he's ever been concerned about where his team is at this point in the year compared to, you know, the championship standard that he holds them to.
Yeah, because I mean, he is that guy that's just always, you know, demanding perfection or whatever, so it's never good enough, or he's finding the negative, you know. But
Yeah.
I talked on here about a month ago that I can't ever remember a more unproven Georgia team like going into a season, especially under Kirby Smart. Like under Kirby, it's like there's at least like 2 or 3 like guys that are getting talked about as being first team All-Americans, you know, a handful that's like could be first round picks. Like it's really you gotta search. It's like KJ Bolden is honestly like the only guy I can think of.
And he was a freshman last year.
Yeah.
Like you're right though, because like if you go by position groups, like quarterback gonna be a new starter, running back, you know, Frazier, the guy, the freshman second string running back from last year will be back, and then it's, you know, Chauncey Bowens, Dwight Phillips, some guys who haven't really played a whole lot. Receivers, completely new group. Tight ends, you know, you have Delp and Lucky back. Offensive line, you have your entire interior offensive line to replace. You know, they're Drew Bobo and Michael Morris are pretty good options, guys who have played before, but still, like, you know, last year they brought back 4 starters. This year they bring back technically only 1, I think, or maybe 2, depending on what you think Monroe Freeling is. But yeah, like deep edge rushers.
The linebackers are good, but none of them are like being talked about.
That's like it. Corners, you have Everett coming back. You're losing your other guy. You have Humphrey transfer. Like safeties gone, edge rushers gone, interior D line gone. Like, has it ever? I don't think it's been like this. Maybe the last Kirby team that was more unproven than this, like you said, is probably 2016, his first year coaching.
And it's like year 1, you had Sony Michel and Nick Chubb, so you had like a couple studs.
You had all Rick's guys in there. Like, this is interesting. This is not a situation I think we've ever really found ourselves talking about with the Kirby Smart that, you know, we know him to be. You know, the back-to-back national champion, you know, top head coach, top paid coach in college football, Kirby Smart. Like it's kind of uncharted territory for a guy like that. I don't know that it's just coach speak. Like, and it's especially like you talk about like a KJ Bolden. Like after Malachi Starks' freshman year, it was like if he's exactly as good as he was as a freshman, he'll probably be an All-American. Like KJ Bolden, you're kind of projecting a little bit that like he was a true freshman. Maybe he takes a huge step because he was a 5-star number 1 safety in the country and all that. Which is definitely possible. But it's like that would be like my biggest All-American candidate probably right there. Agree. I'm trying to think of somebody else. I mean, I think CJ Allen and Raylan Wilson are definitely both All-American talents.
Yeah. Maybe
but
Christian Miller.
I mean, and Christian Miller is a great player, and he's probably the most important returning player on the front 7. Maybe aside from Allen or Wilson, but like, you know, compared to last season, you know, there's no Michael Williams or Brock Bowers or any. I don't think there's a guy like that walking through that door, and you know, that's something that every other fan base in the country is going to hear and go, "Oh, boo-hoo! You don't have another demigod this year."
That's
but like
fair. You
that just,
don't have a generational talent on this.
Yeah, like it's like where's our generational talent? Like it says a lot about Georgia football that, you know, that this is easily a team that has the talent to win. If you were in spring practice right now and you went every single day and you just had a bird's eye view, I guarantee you would walk away going, that's a 10-win team at least. But the fact that you can even say that, like the fact that's what's being said about Georgia football, instead of like, oh wow, this is a Death Star playoff team, it's different. And I do agree. That's why I agree that like this, I don't think this is just coach speak from Kirby Smart. I think this is him being like, we've never had a team like this, you know?
Well, and then nationally, you can't see anyone who's ranking Georgia preseason lower than 5th. So it's kind of crazy that we're talking the way we're talking, and some people are like, "Yeah, I think Georgia's going to win it all this year." It's like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? In college sports, obviously, isn't like the NFL. Unproven guys, come out of nowhere all the time.
Yeah.
And I wonder, you kind of said something about Monroe Freeling. I wonder if his absence is kind of opening the door for either Bo Hughley or Jaw Jackson to step in at one of those tackle spots.
Yeah, it's been I tried really hard to get Micah Morris to name some more specific guys because I led with I asked him about this, and I led with the Daniel Calhoun injury, so I was more talking about guard. But I mean, he said that, and I've heard Kirby say this too, that there are just so many guys and they're competing. Yeah, I could totally see, like if I turned on week 1 against Marshall and I saw Jaw Jackson starting, I would be like surprised, but it wouldn't, like, nothing at this point, would exactly have me floored. Like, you never know.
I mean, just seeing that guy's basketball tape, that excites me. Like, that dude's an athlete. No, what is he listed at? Is he listed at 6'10", 350? 6'9", 350?
If he's 6'10", that's like nuts.
It's stupid. He makes giant human beings look small over there on the sideline.
Yeah, he's 6'10", 348.
Yeah,
which is like insane. Like this is not similar at all. But like my dad sent me this clip today of Kevin Durant like doing a like he was lined up at like DN and he was trying to like beat a guy off the edge who was blocking, and like Kevin Durant is so like. He's I think he's listed at 6'9".
Freakishly tall.
He's really
he like says he's 6'9".
Yeah,
but he is 6'11". It's
biggest
weird.
Open secret in basketball is Kevin Durant's actually like 7 feet. But like he's so tall and skinny that like he would be a horrible pass rusher or a horrible offensive lineman or whatever, because it's like he's too stiff and he's like a gingerbread man. So the fact that Jaw Jackson is like that tall but is also just that built, like, I don't get it, man. I don't get how that's a person that like exists. There are some people like
sure, and Georgia's gotten a few guys like that, like Jordan Davis's. There's not many guys that are built like that. So that's one thing. So if we did turn on the first game of the season and Jaw Jackson was starting, it would feel like this guy's made such huge strides to have taken this position from either Ernest Green or Monroe Freeling. Like it would have to excite me personally.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I want to make it clear, like, I don't think that's going to happen. But like it would say a lot. I mean, I haven't heard anything super alarming from the offensive line. I don't know if you've seen anything, but I feel like the position groups that are really getting called out is like the safeties and then like the running backs. So I don't know. The offensive line is interesting this year. We'll have to see. I don't know how serious that Freeling injury is, but I know they love the guy. They love to just put him in at random drives last year, at random points in the game. So I assume he'll be starting at left, because I've heard I keep saying they're using Ernest Green at right tackle more this spring.
Okay.
Which I don't know how you feel about that, but maybe that's better for him. Because Ernest Green.
He was really good in 2024 and 2023. So I don't know. Maybe it's the injury. I haven't given up on him.
And I haven't either. But like, I mean, he's a super strong built kid. And he's a mauler. But maybe what he needs is a move to that right tackle spot where you're not protecting the blind side. You have more responsibilities as a run blocker. You get to push guys like a sled forward more than you have to, pull and have like I don't know.
Yeah,
So
I could
I
see
can
that.
if they really are gonna just move him to right tackle, my guess would be that that's why, and they're gonna move Freeling to left because I really don't think, like as much as fun as it is for you and I to speculate, like if they're putting Ernest Green at right tackle, they're not putting a first time starter at left tackle.
Yeah, that could be true. I feel like the offensive line is kind of just always the most important position on a team.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like the offensive line, it's funny we haven't even mentioned this yet. I feel like the offensive line determines the floor of the team.
I
Like
agree.
with this schedule, it's like if it's bad, who knows how bad it
If
could
you
get.
can't, yeah, because like
But
you
when
can have terrible skill positions, but if your offensive line is good, you're gonna move the ball.
Exactly. And on that, like from that perspective, I think that it determining the ceiling of this team is the receiver room. And to hear good things about the receiver room and Gunner and Zion Branch. We haven't mentioned Gunner either, who I guess you mentioned him a little bit. Who appears to be the clear number one. But yeah, hearing that Zachariah Branch and Gunner have some good chemistry and hearing good things about Noah Thomas, like I mean, I've said this just countless times on the podcast, but just 37 drops is just so many drops. It's like if you just cut it in half, if Georgia drops 19 passes last year, it's like who knows how many more points they score. So that receiver room is just that could be the biggest change in this team. If they drop 14 passes next year, I'm going to go absolutely nuts about these receivers.
Yeah. No, it could turn the entire team around without a doubt. I mean, there were so many plays last year where you just were like, catch the ball. Like, I think Kirby said the word that he used after the Texas game was he was like, it was comical, like how we couldn't catch the ball, or it was almost comical or something. And like, it really is crazy that that team was trying to win its third natty in 4 years, and all of a sudden nobody on the team could like catch the ball. Like,
yeah.
It was really cool.
It wasn't all Arian Smith either. It's like Arian Smith gets all the blame for it, and he had his fair share. But he was also the leading receiver and was the only one getting open all the time, making plays.
Exactly. I mean, me personally, the guy that would frustrate me the most was Dominic Lovett because, like you said, obviously Arian Smith, the drops are annoying, but yes, he was making huge plays. I mean, he was the leading receiver on the team, got open down the field. I mean, he was the only guy that they could really count on to like stretch the ball. He had that huge 3rd and 11 against Texas on the road.
Yeah.
But Lovett,
I always compare Arian Smith to like Adam Duvall. Are you a baseball guy? Compared to Adam Duvall,
I'm really trying to hear you out here.
So I compare him to Adam Duvall, having to play every day. Like Adam Duvall is a platoon outfielder. It's your fault if you're having to play Adam Duvall every day. It's like Arian Smith is a specific skill set. He should be your 3rd or 4th best receiver. It's not Arian Smith's fault that he's your best receiver. It's your fault.
Exactly. That's a good comparison because I mean he like not to sell Arian Smith short because like he did improve a good bit as like a blocker and stuff, but like for the most part he is a kind of situational football player. He's your deep threat. He's not your guy that you make your primary target on like every game. And it's like I think who that guy was supposed to be was Dominic Lovett. I don't know if I don't know if I've ever had more. I don't know if I've ever been more disappointed in a Georgia transfer player ever than Dominic Lovett. Just because I hate that it says like first spring scrimmage notes, and I'm just on here going on a Dominic Lovett rant. But it really did like there were so many. It feels like last season they kind of gave up on him as a route runner and as a guy who could create space for himself because everything they ran was like bubble screens and hitches and little quick hitters designed to, I guess, get his rapport with Beck back. But like he couldn't even catch those sometimes. And it was just like, he came up huge against Tech in the 4th quarter, so we'll give him credit for that. But for the most part, like the receiving core was just such a net negative for the team last year. And it's like, I mean, I think their feelings about that group were made pretty clearly by how fast they went and got Noah Thomas and Zach Branch. That was like
for sure. Especially for a guy who never got hurt or never had like an off the field thing, or it was 2 full years of Dominic Lovett, and he just he didn't really make many plays, and he was a really good player at Missouri. So I'm not really sure what happened.
I mean, he was supposed to be that first round kind of guy out of the slot, the real like security blanket kind of guy for Beck, but it just didn't happen. It just never did.